Hi guys, so today we're going to be testing some Molotow All-for-One paints. Now at the moment I'm just going to be priming some spare base I have with 180 Signal Black. This is straight out the bottle at, as with all the paints, 30 psi, and I'm going to be using a rocking motion on everything. This is particularly important if you're spraying things like Liquitex or FW acrylic inks, as they can be a bit fragile and it stops you spraying wet paint onto drying paint. Now to get a gradient on this, we can test some of these colours. I'm then going to be going in with a mixture of Vallejo's Airbrush Thinner and 160 Signal White. I'm particularly interested to see the results, or I was particularly interested to see the results between this and the FW acrylic inks, and I must say, I think it's phenomenal. I've tried using this before and it's come out a bit speckly, but mixed with the Airbrush Thinner, absolutely brilliant. So as I've said, from here all the paints are going to be mixed 50% with the Airbrush Thinner. And first up we're going to go 145 Future Green. I must say I quite like how this turns out. It goes quite opaque but sprays like an absolute dream. Next we're going to be going the 009 Sahara Beige. A lot more of a subtle colour, but you can work it up to be as opaque as you need. You could probably use this for World War II German vehicles. Next up I'm going to be trying the 092 Hazelnut Brown. Could be good for warm primes if you want to have an underpainting. Potentially go over it with a neutral white, which we'll see in a second, or potentially with that Sahara Beige. Again we're going to see 229 Natural White. Now this isn't going to show up amazingly on here, especially you're not going to especially see a difference between that and the primed white, but it's a slightly warmer colour. Next up is going to be the 086 Burgundy. Now this I think shows up quite a lot on here, especially the underpainting showing through. There's some really nice effects with that on miniatures. Next up we're going to have 115 Vanilla Pastel. Bit of a lighter colour yellow. Potentially use that as an off-white. Last but not least, 233 Purple Violet. I must say I do quite like this colour, and as expected, being one of the darker colours, which I imagine means the particles are a bit smaller, you can see some of that underpainting showing through. Now we'll have a quick look and I'm going to compare all of these to a straight gradient of the Signal White over the Signal Black, so you can get an idea of the luminosity. Some of these yellows and maybe the natural white might show up a bit more on this with the black background, but we'll see. Those first two colours I'm quite a fan of. Like I say, unfortunately the natural white isn't going to show up against the Signal White too well, but I think you can see a tiny bit of difference. It's more noticeable in person. I do like that Hazelnut Brown, it's quite a nice warm colour. Could use that for skeletons or something like that, as a Nadial spray. Okay, we're on to the Vanilla Pastel and the Burgundy. I think that Vanilla Pastel could be used as a base, as like a zenithal spray over either the Burgundy or the Hazelnut Brown, again to then apply colours over the top, like your contrast paints and whatnot. I must say, all of these performed absolutely stunningly. I've had a couple of them sputter and splatter when I've used them before, but mixing it 50% with the Airbrush Thinner, absolute sprays like a dream. Just got to keep an eye on the tip, just make sure it doesn't get any tip dry on there, and you can spray for days. I think that purple violet might be my favourite colour, but then I do quite like purple colours. You can see at the top that the white underpainting is showing quite a bit through, and it is noticeably darker even towards the right hand side where I sprayed quite thickly. Yeah, we'll just align them up all together now. So I've got to say, I'm not sure if I'm surprised, but I'm incredibly happy with how they performed. If you're looking to get some airbrush colours, or some paints to put through your airbrush I should say, that will serve as not only your standard airbrush paints but also stuff that you can prime your miniature in, I think you're going to be quite hard pushed to find something as versatile as these. I got these in the UK from Jackson Art Supply and got a decent price on them. I just think they're absolutely worth it. They are available on Amazon, but you're going to be paying more, and I have no idea what prices are like in other countries. So to sum up, I must say, absolutely worth it and highly recommend people trying. If people want to see some more videos on people using these, you could always have a look at Marco Fragioni on YouTube. He uses them fairly often in his painting. And if you know of any other YouTube artists that use them, drop a link in the comments. I'd love to check them out. Well guys, that's the end of the video. If you enjoyed it, please be sure to give it a thumbs up, like, comment and subscribe. Also be sure to check out our Facebook page at Wolfing Studios, the link's in the description. As always, thanks for stopping by, catch you next time.